Welcome back to the Talking Hedge. I'm Josh Kincaid, and this is your Cannabis Business Podcast. Today, we're going to talk about CBD, an executive order in Washington State banning flavored vapes, a couple other CBD topics. On the line with us to dive through all of that, Michael Schroeder with The Aging Ent. Thanks for being on.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good. Thanks for having me, man. I'm excited. This is some pretty interesting stuff to talk about.
There's some good CBD, there's some bad CBD, there's isolate, there's all these things, some terms that I haven't necessarily heard of, like terpsilate. I think that's sauce, right?
Terpsilate would be when you take CBD isolate, which isolate is when it's going to be in like a powdery form, right? It's going to be a solid, not a liquid. Take that and you add terpenes to it. Terpenes are the volatile chemicals that give aroma, flavors, and a lot of psychotropic effects too, and a lot of physiological ones. So it's taking this beautiful chemical set that we know of terpenes for scents and flavors, and there's attendant physiological effects there. There's some psychological stuff from terpenes. For example, rip open a fresh orange, get your face in there and smell that, and tell me you aren't like enlivened. Your body, just gets juiced and you feel energetic. And so putting that into something you can consume via inhalation gives you the opportunity to take those chemicals in a therapeutic way that is safe, overall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what kind of concentrates do you prefer? They have an isolate, an extract. We just talked about the terpsilate. There's shatter, crumble, wax that we kind of described a little bit before. What's your preference?
I dab CBD and THC products, right? When I'm dabbing CBD, I prefer isolate. And usually, I make my own terpsilate. I take a little bit of CBD isolate, put a couple of drops of terps in there, and I'll dab that. When I'm dabbing THC concentrates, I like a lot of kinds. I like sugary stuff that's got nice crystals and just about to form diamonds. And that happens from the THC actually literally crystallizing in the extraction. It's such a beautiful thing. And I know a lot of people have moved past shatter, right? Like shatters from 6 to 7 years ago. And a lot of people say that in the marketplace. But I think it's a great way to get a product that has like serious terps locked in it. And not so much of the waxes and lipids that you were talking about before. And really the big reason that I like those two specific things, the more kind of like sparkly looking stuff and also shatter, is that it doesn't have as many lipids in it. Part of the processing has removed those plant fats out. And for me, I smoked cigarettes for 25 years. I smoke cannabis heavily. So removing irritants works for me.
I'm pretty old school. I like hash. I like, full spectrum. I don't mind some of the plant matter in there. But when you're smoking CBD, how does that differ from a THC dab?
Okay, so
I kind of explain a dab as being like a clearer minded. When I dab versus when I smoke flower, it's clearer. It's more of it's less like behind the eyes, less body, more focused, I guess. So dabbing for me is easier to work. But what is the experience like CBD versus THC?
No, I agree with that on dabbing. Like for me, smoking, I smoke weed and I get high. When I smoke dabs, I'm elevated. I can be focused. I can be thoughtful, but there's still that, you're a little stoned. Your ideas are funny. The cannabinoids are affecting you. With a CBD dab, the only way I like the way I really can describe it is it's like getting punched in the face by calm. You take a big dab, just gets you, and you're just like, boom, it gets you. It just comes on so quickly when you dab CBD. And for me, it starts always like right in the middle of my head and just relaxation. There was one time a friend and I, we dabbed through about 1 gram of CBD isolate in about an hour. And we sat there talking, and neither of us moved any muscles on our body for a good 2 hours, but we just sat and talked. And I realized, I'm like, oh man, my arms can move again. I can pick stuff up. This is great. That's just pure relaxation for me.
So this article kind of goes into step-by-step process on how to dab. Are you ready to kind of show us as well as I kind of explain it?
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. So I'm gonna caveat emptor. You're gonna hear me cough. I'm on the tail end of that Washington-itis. It's the end of September cold that I get. Um, but this is my lovely dab rig. I have had this for a while. This rig particular has been in like 9 states and smoked with cool people. I use a quartz style bucket. Nice little, there's a few different sizes of these things. You know, you can go to a store and pick up a little rig that's made overseas for like 30, 40 bucks, buy something online. You spend a few $100 on something that a local artist made. That's what I did here, and I've had it for years. But so the whole point, it's like a mini little bomb, right? You'll heat this part up, put the concentrate in, and then there's water in the bottom for a nice filtration and cooling of the smoke, just like in a bong. And hey, it's for inhalation. Now, one thing that actually gets a lot of people about dabbing, and I just want to call it out all the time, big old blowtorch, right? And that is a reality. Not everybody uses propane. I do. Some people use butane in like a creme brulee torch, essentially. There's a few other ways to dab too if that doesn't hit your thing, like an e-nail. So you plug it in. They're a little bit more expensive, but you don't have to screw around with the fire and the heating up. But if you do, if you're like most dabbers, you'll have your blowtorch. It doesn't have to. We're not welding here. You know, we don't have to get crazy. You want to heat it up so you're getting the bottom of the bucket. I need a little bit more there. You want to get the bottom of the bucket, and the heat's going to spread up the sides, right? So you're heating this up, trying to get it even. Generally, there's no way to say how long it'll take because every one of these little buckets, or if you happen to use a titanium nail, every one is a different thickness, and so it's going to absorb heat differently. Similarly, after we heat it up, you don't want to just go in on it. You need to let it cool down, or you're going to be putting vapor that's like 700 degrees into your lungs. There's no way that's good. So after you heat your banger up, you want to let it rest. So some rules of thumb. You're heating it up to get it red, right? You want it pretty red. It takes a little while to cool down. Again, it depends on the banger. A thick one, it might take closer to 60 seconds there. Something nice and thin like this one will be more like 35 or 40 seconds because, again, it's thin. It's gonna dissipate. This particular nail is brand new, and so it's going to take even longer to cool down. And so what you're going to want to do is take some of your concentrates. I've got some lovely saucy, terpy stuff. This is by Snickle Fritz, which is the Fat Panda like seconds brand. I don't know if you can hear my cat in the background. He's pretty insistent that I dab. So you're going to want to put the concentrates into the bucket. I'm going to cover it. And the reason for that is it minimizes, you know, the extra inhaling I've got to do, really. And you don't want to hold it for very long. I will demonstrate.
Step 4 is exhale the vapor immediately, in case you didn't know. And then after that, finish the dab, clean the nail to remove the leftover residue. They say you got to waste it to taste it, right? So that's where you're talking about low temperature, covering it.
I've got quite a bit of leftover in there. Pardon me. These instructions are perfect. You grab a Q-tip, swab it out. Something that we do, like I said, dip it in isopropyl. Something that a lot of my friends do is keep a little container of iso. Q-tip in there, wipe it out. The reason for that is those leftover oils, if you go back and heat it up, they're going to burn and they're going to scar the surface of the glass. Wow. But dabs do make you cough.
Before we get into that, I want to talk about the primary benefits of dabbing CBD. So according to this article, there's therapeutic calming effects that can be felt within minutes of consumption. This makes dabbing an effective option for those seeking immediate relief, especially when compared to oral application, the most common method of CBD consumption. Although dropping CBD oil in your mouth or eating an edible are among the easiest and quickest ways to consume CBD ingestion, prevents CBD from immediately entering the bloodstream, sending it instead through the digestive tract and eventually onto the liver, where it's broken down before finally reaching the bloodstream. Certain CBD concentrates also give consumers and patients that ability to directly experience and taste the flavorful terpenes and other plant compounds that may not be present in CBD oil. So it was kind of told us that terpenes are the direction you want to go, and the percentage is how fast you're going to get there. So if you want something euphoric, energetic, and uplifting, or similar to like a chamomile tea relaxing, you can get that effect based on terpenes. And again, the percentage gets you there that much faster.
Yeah, if you were to find something with a high CBD, like whether we're talking about pure CBD isolates, or even if you're finding somebody who's like making high CBD extracts for the market, there's a couple of terps you can keep on the lookout for that sleepiness effect. One thing that a lot of people are looking for, like linalool and carophyllene. If you find those two terpenes in high amounts, it's going to taste like slightly spicy, like Christmas spicy lavender, and you're going to be so relaxed. Like all the worries go, physical stresses release. Yeah, I'm a big fan of terps and CBD. Yeah, there's just no way about it. No two ways about it. The levels, when you're looking at the labels, it's funny because to me, in concentrates at least, I trust the testing that's on the labels because the analytics are from a highly homogenized compound. And especially with terpenes, they're looking for pretty specific chemicals that they know the signature of. And that testing is something that I buy from. I've bought probably 17,000 packages of cannabis in the past 4 years. And so when I'm looking at what I'm reviewing and buying, terpenes are what I'm looking for sure.
Yeah, I'm also looking to make sure it's not super old, like a year old. I just bought a Cannagar in Oregon without looking at the harvest date, and I got suckered into buying something that was 12 months old, and it was dry, kind of made me cough. And some of the vape pens that have glycol and some of this other stuff that we'll get into makes me cough. But what helps you to stop coughing? So you take a dab, you're coughing. It's because it's probably hot or whatever. You have a cold or whatever the issue is. Do you have any tips on how to stop coughing so hard?
No, you got some tips for me, bro? Because I will just go and go. I'll cough. I did really well for a long time. Actually, low temp dabbing. If you temp your dabs out and you get low temp, you're going to cough less. You're also going to have leftover drugs in the bottom of your your drug usage device, right? But that's an aspect of it. It's kind of like, are you going for the wine experience, that moderate level, you don't want the side effects? Or hey, are you out there chugging straight rock gut 3-4 shots at a time? There's going to be an impact from that.
Mm-hmm. And so when people are going out, you've gone into a lot of stores, you've product tested a lot of things, and they say that CBD oil potency matters. So we kind of described very briefly that the percentage is how fast the effects get you there, but the effects are driven by terpenes, and those aren't necessarily on the packaging. You're going to see maybe indica or sativa or a strain name that you don't even know what it represents. And so why is CBD oil potency important? Does it matter? How do you make your decisions?
I mean, for CBD oil, potency definitely matters. I mean, the idea here is getting the beneficial chemicals out of the plant and into your body, right? It's not just about having a good time with cannabis, even if the chemicals you're looking for are THC, but with CBD, the reason for dabbing it is it's super effective. So if you're trying to get some maximum effect out of something, you'll want something that's more pure. But you do make that point. Dabbing CBD isolate is very different than dabbing a full spectrum CBD product, because those phytochemicals, those other plant chemicals that are in there have, the entourage effect we've all heard of. That's not just THC working with CBN and CBD together. That's also those particular cannabinoids working with the terpenes, working with, believe it or not, the chlorophyll and the other chemicals that are part of the plant that aren't part of the psychoactive. And so in my experience, while maximum impact comes from the isolate, I find maximum benefit from a full spectrum product. So it's going to have, even on its best end, maybe 60% CBD content, maybe 10 or 15% more of terpenes, maybe if I'm lucky. And I'm going to have probably 20 to 25% other phytochemicals, other plant chemicals. So I'm not getting as clean of a smoke as I could have from that product, right? But I'm getting a more complex impact from it. And because I want a more whole experience, that's how I'm choosing it. But what's right for others is going to be something else. Some people take CBD isolate, and while eating it isn't as effective, and products designed for oral consumption, ingestion that way aren't legal in Washington. Technically not legal in the United States because the FDA let out, their notice that CBD is not approved for food and drinks, and that's where the state DOA came from, stating that. But you are always making that judgment call. Are you getting the purest thing that you can find and ingesting that compound that way, or are you going to go for something that may not be as particularly pure, but may have better beneficial ancillary content?
Michael Schroeder with The Aging Ent. Where can they reach you on social media? How can they find you?
You can check me out at The Aging Ent with an underscore on Instagram, The Aging Ent on Facebook, and I've got hundreds of cannabis reviews out of Washington and Oregon at agingent.com.
Check it out. So with that, we're going to roll this one up. I'm Josh Kincaid. This is The Talking Hedge. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, or don't. And I'm out.
Very cool. This was fun.